Woohoo! And we're live once again on another Tuesday. And today I have a special guest in the house joining me from across the pond for a virtual cup of tea. I have Angus Grady. Welcome
Hi,
to the
Gillian.
show.
Hiya,
Woohoo!
hiya. I've been so looking forward to this.
It's
I've been
awesome.
like so excited all day. You know
It's
when you
it's
can't do
exciting.
anything else.
And
I
it's the
know.
end of your day, the beginning of my day, the wonders of these global and international lives that they kind of stretch into every corner. Anybody in New Zealand, they're probably not joining us unless they're scrolling out of bed at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., whatever it is over there. Some of our friends in India, it's like 11 o'clock at night. So it's
I
just
know. It's
amazing
just trying to get your
time.
head around this is just bonkers.
It is absolutely bonkers. So, Angus, let's start off real quick. Why don't you say who you are, what you do, and then we'll hop right into our topic today.
Okay, cool. My name's Angus Grady, as it says on the banner. I'm the LinkedIn unlocker, and I help magnetize profiles so they attract the best, repel the rest, so it gets more inquiries that convert into conversations that then go into sales. Simple.
I love that. I love that. And that was actually one of the expressions that I steal from you, but I always credit you. I always credit you. Attract the best, repel the rest. And I
Yeah.
think that is so key. And I think, especially going into 2022, a lot of people
Oh,
are kind of like, okay, I'm sick of the pandemic. It's time to get serious about my business and get organized and get focused. And that statement alone really kind of puts you up in the LinkedIn Hall of Fame because it's all about you only want to work with certain people. Not we think
it,
we want to market to everyone, but we
we
really
don't.
don't. We
A
don't.
product for everybody is a product for nobody. And
Exactly.
we actually call it niching, you call it niching. I've never understood why. Essentially, the smaller your pond, the deeper it is. So you don't
Mm,
want to have a huge amount of people that you're trying to look after. And we all know that. Yeah.
exactly. And we also too, we want to make sure that we're not spending our time chasing people or working with people that are not a good fit for us, and maybe we're not a good fit for them. And we just recognize that's why I don't really look at like LinkedIn as being, oh, my competitors, because there's 800 million people on this platform now. We really don't need to see that there's like such a small pie. It's a big pie and we can all have our own little slice. And, so I don't see it as being competitive, but I see that we do have to sometimes weigh inbound marketing, which is what most of us are very comfortable with. We put up our posts, and then there's outbound marketing. And you're more of an outbound kind of guy because
I'm an out and about kind of a guy.
you
Yeah,
use this, a
I
telephone. You
do.
pick up a telephone, you call people, you put your phone number on your profile and you say, I
And
take phone calls, call me.
and because I think it's so important that we, sort of conversations contain the word conversion. And
Mm,
let's face it, we're trying to get sales. And I actually talk about chat all the time, which means conversations help attract turnover. And that's what chat
ooh,
stands for me. It's so simple, because once I get talking to somebody, I don't need to sell to them. People buy from me because they don't sell, because I do social solving, not social selling. So my profile is a filter system, and it basically kicks the tire kickers away, and it also gets rid of the people who aren't my target market. So people relate to it straight away. So I pre-qualify myself by explaining what I do, and every aspect of my profile is working towards that. So it's like a
that's
funnel. By the time they get down to the bottom, I'm hoping that they just want to pick the phone up and call me, but outbound without a shadow of a doubt. But it's a process. It's a process that you can't just say, I'm connected to Gillian now, I'm going to give you a call. No, there's a process involved, which sadly I've got a name for. I call it vamping. So
vamp,
V,
vamp,
yeah, vamp.
VAMP, vamp.
Yeah,
Okay.
video for the V. Video in every single connection request has a video in it, so they can see and hear me. Then it's audio. then it's mail, as in postcards, then it's a phone call. Then it's a phone call. So there's a process involved. So it's more in the direct messages than it is in the actual profile content. And
I
it
love it.
works very, very well. Works
I
very
love
well.
it. I love it. I love it. And so what happens on the phone call? Because before we started today, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit too, I talked about some of us really have telephone reluctance.
Phobia.
Like the
Yeah.
very thought, I made a joke and I said, there's some people who would rather order the Chinese food and other people that will say, you order it, I'll pay for it. That's how much I don't want to be on the telephone. So it's like, which one are you? I make the phone calls or I'll pay you to go make the phone calls. So it's so what happens on telephone calls? How can I get over that reluctance of the
Well,
fear of a phone call?
because of the VAMP system, they've already seen me on a video, they've already heard me on an audio, and they would probably have heard me on a talking postcard, and they already feel as if they know me. So
Mm.
when we've negotiated the time for the call, it doesn't have to be a phone call. It could be anything. It could be here, a Zoom. It could be
Okay.
anything. But a
Okay.
phone call, let's just stick with the phone call because they're easier. Basically, it's just saying hello and just
Mm.
making sure that you're in touch and just trying to help people. So I'll give a tip, about their LinkedIn. I'll ask a question, not questions like, give me the 5 things that you see as hurdles in the next 2 months. Nobody wants to hear calls like that. So what they want to do is you give them chance to say anything that they feel is important for their business and how might I help? What is
Mm.
it that I can do to help you? And if I can't, let's just keep in touch. And that way
Mm.
round, the onus and the emphasis comes off them and back onto you. But by coming back onto you, you're allowing them that out, if you like, to do it. But
I
they,
love it.
as I said, that they already would have got 2 or 3 things from me, so we've already built that relationship up. So it's not
That's
like
super.
it's a warm call, not a cold call.
Okay, so maybe that's the difference. It's like maybe I know for me personally, when I was a teenager, long time ago, one of my first jobs was selling newspaper subscriptions over the phone. It was horrible. And I literally had a call list and I would have to call people and say, "Do you want to take the paper? Do you want to take the paper?" And that I think is still walking around in my brain is when I think of the telephone, it's that rejection where people would hang up on me, they'd say horrible things, and you just didn't have it in your heart. You got to the 20th call and it's like
And I
then you'd
know it's
say, "You don't
heartbreaking.
want the paper, do you?" Like you knew they didn't want you. So it was like you're so discouraged. So
And
I
I
think
I get that. And I used to sell photocopiers years ago, okay, on the phone, photocopier appointments. And my opening gambit would be, this is a cold call. And then they'd laugh and they'd say, really? I said, yeah. I said, just give me 30 seconds. You can hang up on me. So many people have hung up on me today, but that doesn't matter. It means the other person gets the offer. And they're thinking, really? And then they'd just hear you out. So make a joke of it to start
I
with by
love it.
saying this is a cold call. And
I
they
love
just
it.
don't know what to do. And then 2 minutes in say, well, actually, I've gone longer than 30 seconds now. Do you want to, sort of, shall we just finish the call? They go, no, 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 keep on going, keep on going.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
you get
I
them
love
on your
that.
side,
I love that. I love that.
which
And
is,
like
yeah,
I like that because you're just kind of saying flip it on its head. We know that
yeah,
nobody likes doing that sort of stuff. And you're not talking about cold calling anyways, because part of
no,
your
exactly.
process is you've already warmed people up and that leads to the next step, the next step, the next step. And I think that that's what a lot of us don't like on LinkedIn is somebody connects with us and it's like immediately they're jumping to the fourth step and that's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable, it's unnecessary, and it's not what LinkedIn was ever designed about. And you see countless posts about this, but it's a slow process. It really is. It's actually solving their issue before you even come to the sell. So they, as I said before, buy from you so you don't sell. And yeah, it's just a process that works for
I love
me
it.
anyway.
I
Yeah.
love it. And then, so we also talked about how you kind of see voice notes as a way of having a conversation too. Like that's a good
Oh,
start. Just you do a lot of stuff with voice notes. Kind of talk about sort of how that's evolved for you.
well, again, that's part of the VAMP process. So after they've accepted the connection request or I've responded to them, I'll always send a voice note. But what I do is I write a couple of lines underneath it, one line of text. So the blue line is not in isolation. So the blue line has some context. So when they come to look at their stream and they see a blue line with a few words underneath, they know what it's about. They don't have to ferret around to look to see which one was I talking about. And that way around, it allows them the ease to then respond.
I
And
like that.
and also, talking postcards. I'll do a recording and I'll make a little, sort of link and just write it on the card. And it will say something like, "Hello, Gillian. Lovely to talk to you today at that networking event. This postcard isn't big enough to say everything that I want. Would it be a good idea if you changed your LinkedIn on this, this, and this to do this, this, and this?" And just a few little tips. And
I love it.
100%, and people come back to me and they actually call me back. But I think that voice, because storytelling is an auditory thing. Nobody I don't think can forget somebody's voice. And if you can leave an impression with them of what you like through your voice, it's your fingerprint. It is as personal as anything else. And I think it's really important to kind of keep that going and keep it alive. And the very fact that LinkedIn are going to have a kind of clubhouse thing going on is brilliant, is absolutely brilliant. I think that you can't miss. Conversations are the most important thing.
I agree. Do you use these LinkedIn meetings very much?
I
You know, the
all the
new
time, all the
Okay.
time. And again, once I've established a link with somebody will ping me. About 20 minutes before this, I was on one and I was panicking, thinking they're not going to shut up in a minute. I'm going to have to close them
I'll
down
have to
quickly.
go bring them with you to the live.
Yeah.
Come on, everyone, get in the bus.
Yeah. Well, come on, Ian. Come on. But it was just getting to the point where I thought, gosh, please. And I didn't want to be rude, but it naturally finished and that was it. But yeah, I think those are brilliant. Those are really good because that's where LinkedIn scores. If you set your category of one up sufficiently, people get to know what you do. Like, you are known for your videos, you're known for that. So if you wanted to call with me, it wouldn't be about what I'm going to have for dinner. You'd be probably talking about video and how you have a tip or two to help me. And that's what you've got to bear in mind, that when you pick that phone up and have that conversation, and I hate the phrase "give value" because it's so overused, but give something that they can go away with and actually implement.
A win. Just
A
give them a
win.
win.
Give them a
Yep.
win. I'm going to
I
write
like
that down.
I
Give
love
them a
that. No,
win.
that's my favorite phrase, that like whenever I meet with somebody, even just on a get to know you, I always just give people at least one win that they can use today in their life. You don't have to sign up with me and coach with me or this or
Yeah,
that with
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Just a win. Just a win.
Yeah, and it's like audio, I think, helps that. But I think as well that I'm a big fan of direct mail and anything that can do that. So postcards, and I'm even sending people jigsaws of their LinkedIn profile and having half of the bit sent one day and half the bit sent the other, with a
How
note
clever.
saying, "Are these the missing pieces of your marketing?" And people love it. And
Awesome.
that's a great way to start a conversation.
Well, and
So
I
they've
think
got something.
direct mail is kind of like, if you're familiar with Seth Godin, the purple cow, it's the thing that's a little bit different right now. And I remember in the day, because I'm not a young chicken anymore, but in the day, we used to get postcards in the mail years ago. And they would always have a telephone number that you'd call for a recorded message that would,
Yeah.
you could learn stuff about. So that's kind of actually old school. It's been around forever, but nobody's doing that anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you get a Christmas card in the mail now, you're excited. It's
Well,
different.
I just think I am reading a fascinating book about our local town, and there were 5 postal deliveries a day. And in London at the turn of the century, there were 12 postal deliveries a day. And people used to literally send a note home on a postcard. Hi, Gillian, I won't be home tonight for dinner. I'll be home late, because they knew that they would get it. And we're in the attention economy, and I think we're trying to get people's attention, and post is great. And I'm fusing what I call Diana marketing, digital and analog together, and I'm going to go big on this in 2022, because it's kind of getting digital to work like clockwork is the phrase I'm going to use,
I love it.
because it's old and new, but I think it works, and that's
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Well, I see we have some comments, so let me hop over there. Oh boy, we have a bunch. Okay, so let's just start going through our comments. We've got our lovely Jeff Young in the house. Angus will make a marvelous guest. Jillian, tell him that Stan the man and I said Excelsior. I don't know what that means.
Well, we're both Marvel freaks, and Stan Lee was an amazing, amazing man. And hello, Jeff, and thank you so much for everything you do, because
Awesome. Awesome.
you're a pretty special guy. I'm going to see the new Spider-Man at the weekend. I'm not sure whether you're a spider freak there, Jeff, but it's got the old Spider-Man in it as well. Can't wait.
Oh,
Oh,
good,
I
good,
just
good,
blew it.
good.
No, I didn't.
Okay, we got our beloved Nigel Cliff in the house on the edge of my seat. Yay! I
Mr.
love
Cliff.
Nigel.
Hi,
What?
Nigel.
Angus, I'd say around 6 or 8. I don't know what that means.
No, I missed that.
Okay. Hello, everybody. We got Gabe or Gabe in the house. He's awesome with his live streaming. Thank you for coming, Gabe. We have Tina from Belgium. Now, I think you've
Tina.
linked out recently with Tina, and she is adorable. Hello, Jillian and Angus. Greetings from
And
Belgium.
Tina sent me a lovely card.
Ah,
Beautiful.
ah.
Tina is wonderful.
And that again, I posted yesterday. She sent me this beautiful LinkedIn. She'd crocheted it for me.
Oh, I
and she
saw
put
that.
it-
I saw
yeah,
that. Yeah.
and again, that's outbound, where she's just, direct mail. You're sending something tangible. It means so much. And I remember, Angus, your postcard you sent me.
Yeah. Somebody actually sent me one of these, a message in a bottle.
Message in a
No,
bottle.
and it worked, because I phoned them. I phoned them straight back. It was
love
great.
it.
But
Did it
Tina,
come in the
see,
mail, or did you have to go to the beach?
no, it came in the mail. Came in the mail in a bag. It was wonderful.
That's awesome.
Do you know
That's
what,
awesome.
Tina? There's a space on my desk for a crocheted IN. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh. Well, my mother-in-law has now turned it into I'm in business. It's my do not disturb thing, is having gone on my door. It's awesome. It's awesome. We have Sarah. Hi, Jillian and Angus. We have
Hi,
Sarah
Sarah.
Burgess. She's awesome. She's awesome. We've got Vicky O'Neill from the United States. See, we're going all over the world.
Yeah, we're going all
Angus.
over the world. Yeah.
So we've got Vicky, and hi, Jillian, and hi, Angus. Wonderful
What time
that
is
you
it in
could be
Australia?
here. Yes.
Yeah. Attract the best, repel the rest. Yes, I like that. So do I. It's one of my favorites too, Jeff.
Yes, yes. And you
Borrowed
know what?
a lot.
You need that on like a mug or something like that. That should be a marketable. Those are products you should be marketing, because they're so good. They're so good. We've got Vicky here. Let's see. Oh, we have Debbie. Debbie calling in from Florida, visiting us from
Hi,
Florida.
Debbie.
Angus is an outcast. Oh, I said outbound. Oh, I bet you my the subtitles do the funniest thing here. Don't say the word chuffed, because if you do, the LinkedIn sponsors think it's a swear word. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and I've got my UK America dictionary now, so I know all my words that I should be saying instead of. So it's good. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Debbie. Phone calls are rare these days, but you can gather so much more in a call versus email or text. What do you think about that, Angus? Do you think that's true, that
absolutely
a phone call can do more?
I mean, my background is like research. Okay, so in ad agencies, I ran a research department for years. And one of the things we did regularly was just to call people and ask them their opinion about their market sector. So, what's new in your market? and you'd get so much brilliant feedback, and great for new product development, great for advertising campaigns, because you found out what your competitors were thinking about and what their market was really like. So absolutely right, absolutely right.
Okay,
And
that's good.
and the golden time for calling, I think, is at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, because at that point people are just, their weekend mode is on,
Mm,
and they'll tell you anything. They'll tell you anything.
that's interesting. That's interesting. And it's funny, you just said the word mode, and we talked earlier before we went live today about some of us put on our mode, our telephone voice mode, and
Yeah.
we talk very. I was sharing with Angus. My parents were British, so of course they would get very very formal on the phone, just like Angus. Hello there, they would just put,
Hello.
yes.
I say
So,
hello.
but
Yeah.
you said don't do that. Don't do that. Be
Be
yourself.
yourself. Be yourself, because at some point they're going to find out what your real voice is. And again, people talk about share of voice. Really, they should have their own voice, should be shared. So
Yes.
it's a question of, it's just be yourself. And again, think about, as we were saying before, think about the person that you're calling. They're equally as nervous because they suddenly put on their telephone voice. Hello, I'm so glad you called. And you think, that's not you. That's not you. What you doing? I spoke to you yesterday and you didn't sound anything like that on the video. Why have
Right.
you suddenly become royalty? Stop it. It
You are
just,
not the queen. You are not the
yeah,
queen.
yeah. Please, you're not Prince Charles. Shut up. You
I
know,
love that. I love that. But
but
maybe
people,
the voice notes is a way to get over that, because I don't do
yeah.
voice notes, and
Oh,
and
you
I
should.
I should. I probably should. I think it's because I'm such a desktop person. If I could do them on the desktop, I think I'd be much more likely.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe the more you were able to use your phone to do voice notes, then maybe that starts to take away some of the anxiety of picking up a phone and calling people.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah,
think?
yeah, yeah. I think that you've got to move into it slowly. I mean, you can't suddenly jump in a pool and start swimming. So you've got to start down the shallow end, and a voice note is a great shallow end technique. And then
Yep.
as soon as you get into deeper water, then they then call you back as well, which is brilliant.
Yeah, which is
So
great, which is great.
yeah,
So Vicky says, "Love
I love
your
your vamp.
vamp, Angus.
Yeah.
Great way to stand out and connect with people." Can you just one more time explain the initials so that anybody
Okay.
coming in
Yeah.
late didn't miss that?
Okay, V is for video. When I actually send a connection request out, I have a video in the connection request as part of it, one unit. Okay, the audio is afterwards. I'll say thank you very much, Gillian, for connecting, and here is my Y template. Oh, talking of which, if anyone wants my Y template, just message me and I'll send it to you. So they get something straight away, and then I'll put something in the post mail, a postcard or a handwritten letter, and then I then progress to the phone call. So that whole process in some people takes a week, in other people takes 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It doesn't matter. It's an open-ended process. Sometimes I don't have to do the A and the P, or the A and the M. We just jump to VP, and
So how are you
it
how are
works.
you doing how are so okay, so how are you doing a video with your request? How do you do that?
There's a little hackette which I'll
Okay.
share
Oh,
with
I
you
won't
after.
make you share your secret if you don't want to.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But it's
Maybe
it's
people need to
very
pay the big bucks to get that. That's a good one.
well. There, yeah, but I mean, it
Okay.
works because I get
Okay.
100% response from people who say, "Wow, I've never had one of these before."
Okay. And then when you send the postcards, how do you get their address? Do you just
I
ask
ask
them?
them.
Like,
I
wow.
ask them, and
Okay.
99% of people will give it to you because
And
you've already broken down so many barriers with the video and the audio, and sending them something through LinkedIn or through email, that they already feel as if they're on your side. It's
got it.
just simple stuff. And again, I think of direct mail as having an ROI, a return on ink. It really
Mm,
it's
mm.
just, you've got to think about how much and how different you can be.
I love it.
and how easy it is to stand out in a crowded market. Having something arrive on your doormat as opposed to your inbox, it's just people go bonkers for it.
Yes, yes, and that's great, and you just tell them, "I wanna send you a postcard, can I have your address?" And they're just like,
Yeah,
"Okay, fine. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
well, I did it."
Or I send them some earplugs and say, just block out the noise of social media and concentrate on your LinkedIn. And again, that's simple stuff.
I love it. I
Simple,
love
simple
it.
stuff.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so V, are you doing that via LinkedIn messaging? So we're gonna let Angus keep his secret hack to himself as
It's part of the connection request.
part of the
There's a
connection
way of
request.
doing it. There's a way
Okay.
of doing it,
But even
which
video in itself, it's like I connected with somebody recently, and they actually send a thank you video, personal thank you video to every single person that they connect with. And I
and
was floored. I was floored that they did it. And it's not generic. It's like
no,
he's like, "Hello, Jillian. Thank you for connecting with me." Like it's like,
and yeah, and I do exactly the same. So if somebody sends me a connection request and I don't get the volume that I used to, and I'm very, very particular about who I want to connect with, not because I'm so arrogant and important, but if somebody's from El Ondaragua who sells second-hand cars, then they're not my market.
attract the rest, repel the rest. You're very
Exactly.
clear on
Yeah.
who you can help, who you can help.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes
And
sense.
I think it's important that all the bits of your profile should be saying that. I mean, people aren't using providing services properly. It has its own URL.
Yes.
It's just incredibly simple to use, and you can send that URL off as a bit of marketing. The
Yes.
same as your profile badge. No one uses their profile badge on LinkedIn as a piece of marketing. Do a screenshot of it and send it off to somebody. Change your headline so your profile badge reads what your headline does. You could write, "Hi Gillian, would really love to speak to you tomorrow," which is, and then do the profile badge, then send that picture in a message in LinkedIn, and people think, "Wow, yes, I will speak to him," and then you just change your
Wow.
headline back.
That's gold. That's gold.
There's
Super.
so many different ways.
Yes. Well, I know Debbie, she likes using the voicemail option through LinkedIn mobile messaging. And I
Yeah.
know that she was calling people at Christmas and she called me and it was just like, my phone's ringing, and it was just so lovely to talk to her. And I think that's the thing. We feel like we might be disturbing people. If they can't take your call, they won't answer it.
And
So, right?
yeah, and I spoke to Debbie last night on a Clubhouse event, and she took the time over Christmas, as I did, to write to people. Now that's passive interruption, and that's fine. That's fine as far as I can see. A
Yep.
phone call maybe is a bit more direct, but again, people will take your call if they know who you are.
Yep. Yep. No, that's absolutely brilliant. That's brilliant. Love the example of takeaways. I really don't like phoning to order takeaway, but I don't mind calling in other situations. And it's so true. We have different levels of comfort on the phone, but I
Of course we
think that
do.
we really probably I think so many of us we're so good about the inbound marketing, but the outbound marketing it's something that we probably a lot of us need to work on in 2022. Just getting more comfortable.
Yeah, I kind of think for me, I'm going to do less content and more conversation.
Mhm.
So, spend more time in the messaging side of stuff. And again, giving value, you know.
Yep.
Angus never bothers me. Love it, Jeff. Love it. Love it.
It's true.
Love it.
It's true. Apologies to Frank Sinatra. Jeff's always so fun. He's always so fun.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's like, we really need to not spend time on anybody that's not a good fit for us, move along. And sometimes you can tell that through a conversation that somebody's not listening to you, they're not coachable. I've had people where I've met and they looked really, really good on paper. But when I sat down and I did like a quickie little, 10-minute meeting with them, I immediately knew I wasn't a good fit for them. They weren't a
Yeah.
good fit for me. And if we hadn't had that conversation, we probably would have been wasting a lot of time. So it's a good way to
Yeah,
sort.
yeah, and an awful lot of people I speak to, their problem with LinkedIn is that they kind of get hooked into this personal branding thing, and they're so in the trenches of it. And I think it's personal standing, not personal branding, that's important. And I think people would be a lot freer if they just freed themselves of that kind of thinking, because you know people buy into you long before they buy from you, and I think you've kind of got to give them the opportunity to be able to do that each along the way.
I agree. I agree. I agree. Okay, so we've come up on our 30 minutes. So, Angus, let's wrap it up. But I want you, what's sort of one thing you want to leave us with? What's that sage advice that we should all be, as we're starting 2022? We want our conversions to be, our conversations to be the pathway to conversions. What's the sage advice you want to leave us with today?
I think get your profile to the point where it solves before you sell. And the thing to do is think about your skills as your category of one. If your skills aren't congruent with what you do, I've invented LinkedIn Unlocker as a skill. So that becomes a keyword, it becomes a hashtag. So make sure that your profile starts in your skills section and filters up, not the other way around. So you've got those keywords, and just be more open about connecting. We're not even connecting with people, just having conversations. Go through who you've already got. Audit what you've got before you start ordering any more stuff from that takeaway.
I love it. I love it. That's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's an
And
absolute
everybody,
pleasure.
oh, awesome, awesome. And everybody listening, please follow Angus, connect with the Angus. If you do, leave him a lovely note so he knows that you were here and how you know him, or just follow along and learn from him because he is a wise sage. You got a lot of
Get
great,
out of here.
great stuff. I've
Get
been
out of here.
I'm honored to be connected with you. So
Oh,
it's
don't
awesome.
be daft. Don't be
It's
daft.
awesome.
If anyone wants that, seriously, if anyone just messages me, I'll send them the Y template. But it's been fantastic. And Gillian, I think you're amazing. So, you
Thank
give
you.
a lot of people a lot of value in the best way possible. And that's fantastic. And
Thank
thank
you.
you. Enjoyed it.
Okay, awesome. So we'll see everybody next time. And thanks again for coming today. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Stay safe.